Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing great today. Looks like we've got a lot of people on board, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to kind of go through everything that I kind of listed on the cruise. I've done a number of these pre-cruise webinars before, so hopefully I will hit all of the points. And then when I get done, I'll open it up to a Q&A for those who have not done a webinar before. I doubt there's many of you who haven't, but if you go to the bottom of your screen, a little menu should pull up that's got some icons. There should be one that says Q&A. If not, there is a circle um, that there's a circle that's got three dots in it that says more. Click on that and we will get going. I see we got a couple questions already. I'm going to go through pretty much everything, so hopefully I will cover it during the presentation, then we can come back and revisit the questions. But feel free to type them in as you go. All righty. First off, on Saturday, all of you should have received an email from Uniworld. I just did a screenshot of it real quick. So on June 6th, it's from Uniworld. And the subject line is your trip starts soon. The first thing I was going to mention is people ask about travel documents, as this email told you. Documents should be emailed about 21 days before the trip, but only if you've completed the trip registration form. I have not yet received a list from Uniworld of anyone who is not registered, so I'm going to assume everyone has. So, in a week and a half or so, they actually send them to us, and then we send them out to you. So, the documents for the cruise will be about 21 days prior. If you open up the email, kind of here's what's in it. There's a lot of information. Some of this information I'm going to touch on as well, but you can kind of see when you go down, it talks about transfers, the cruise companion, add-ons, those types of things. I'd recommend that you would should kind of go through and look at all of this, but I'm going to hit all the high points as we go through. Okay, so here is our cruise itinerary. As you can see, we cruise from Budapest for 7 nights. When we get to Jorgugi, we are actually going to disembark, and then we have the hotel for 2 nights in Bucharest. So 7 nights on the cruise ship, 2 nights in our Bucharest hotel. Here is kind of a day-by-day planner of the cruise. Don't worry about taking a screenshot or anything. This exact kind of highlights kind of page will be included with your travel documents. The travel documents are actually four attachments to it. There'll be your cruise ticket, your cruise passenger ticket. I'll come back to that in a second. This highlights kind of a what to know before you go, which is kind of what they've already kind of emailed you, but it's kind of an attachment to it. And that cruise ticket, keep in mind that our river cruise is like a floating hotel. That's going to have your informations on your transfers on it if you have arrival or departure transfers. If you did the 2 night pre-package in Budapest with Uniworld, that will be included in your documents. And they basically it will tell you where and when to meet for those transfers. I don't know where those are going to be yet. What they actually do is everyone submits their flight schedule, or most everyone submitted their flight schedule, and then those flight schedules are that email that you filled out, that transfer request form actually went to Uniworld, and then Uniworld looks to see everyone's arrival time. They do make note of flights in case flights are delayed or whatever, then they can adjust on the fly. But they have a third company that does the transfers, and then they will book the transfers based upon the group's arrival time. So they don't really start planning those transfers until they get everybody's flight schedules. And then they say, oh, we got 10 people, we're going to put them on this, 8 a.m. transfer. We've got 20 people, so we're going to need a larger bus or two smaller buses or whatever, and all that scheduled. So those will be in your travel documents. So if you submitted that form and put in your flight information, if you have the 2-night prepackage in Budapest, or if you're just doing the cruise, they will actually schedule those transfers for you. Um, just a heads up, mid-cruise, they are going to send out a form to reconfirm everyone's disembarkation transfers. So probably about day 4 or 5, when you go back to your stateroom one day, you're going to find a letter in it. They're going to ask you to put your flight information in again and just confirm all of those transfers from the hotel in Bucharest back to the ship. I do know we have the group of people that did the 5-night pre-Prague and Vienna, and the group of people that did the 4-night post in Transylvania. And I'm going to go get to both of those once we go through the cruise. So everyone's on the cruise. So let's do the cruise information first, and then we will get to those that pre and post tour. Okay. So as we look at our sheet with the kind of day to day, I want to kind of point out to everybody who's not been on a Uniworld River cruise how this is going to work, because a lot of people have questions about the featured excursions. These are the included shore excursions. So night one, when everyone gets on the ship before dinner, I have a deck plan kind of at the end of it. We'll go to it, but there's basically one main lounge where everybody's invited to. So when everybody's in that lounge, they will do a safety drill. The captain actually does the safety drill. And then after that, the cruise director will actually talk about plans for day 2 in Budapest. So on the first night, with everything going on board, she's only going to talk about day 2. She is going to go through both of your choices for the complimentary excursion that morning. So as you can see, you have either the panoramic highlights or the communist tour. They have enough room on these featured excursions for everyone on the ship to choose whatever they would like. And the example I use is a couple of years ago, we did Paris and Normandy. And on the day we were going to the beaches, there was a choice of 3 beaches. You could go to the US beaches, the Canadian beaches, or the British beaches. And everyone in our group chose to go to the American beaches, and they had enough transportation arranged to take everyone that wanted to go on that. So literally the first night, the cruise director will go through both of these tours. You pick whichever one you want. Whichever one you pick is what you're going to go on. That evening of night 2 is when we don't have the safety drill, so we have a little bit more time. About an hour before dinner is kind of when everybody goes to the lounge before dinner. She will actually go through the excursions for the remainder of the cruise and give everyone sheets where you just write in what you want to do. Once again, on the featured excursions, they have enough room for everyone to do whatever they want, with the sole exception of being in Belgrade on day 4, where it's the Let's Go Biking. They only have typically what they have is 20 bikes. I don't want to say that for a fact. We'll know exactly when we get on board. They may have 1 or 2 extra. They may have 1 or 2 that are in the shop. But on that one biking excursion on day 4, they only have room for people for the number of bikes we have. So if you want to go biking when she hands out the forms on the evening of day 2, make sure that you get signed up for the biking as soon as possible, because, as I said, there's only limited room on that. So you can kind of look through this. Once again, you don't need to make any of these decisions on shore excursions now. You just need to, when you get on board, you fill out the form and say what you want to do. The exception of this would be the Masterpiece Collection. I think everyone has gotten emails about signing up for these in advance. So let's kind of go through the Masterpiece Collections. Okay, so the Masterpiece Collections, or kind of the verbiage that Uniworld uses, is those excursions that are kind of above and beyond. So you have the included excursions. These are excursions that you can go on If you'd like to, there is a fee for them. So we're going to go through them real quick. Once again, the cruise director will go through all of these on that night two on the ship. Okay, so the first one is Belgrade. You guys can kind of read this. I assume everybody's seen this before. The activity level is intermediate. They have easy, intermediate, and hard based upon the amount of walking, stairs, those types of things. The first three I'm going to talk about are all intermediate. The last one's easy because it has virtually no walking. But one thing I wanted to say about those of you who may move at a little bit slower pace, they always have a bus six. So let's say that you sign up, you want to do one of the excursions, like this excursion is bus one, this excursion is bus two. A lot of times with the number of people that we have that are going to sign up, they'll have a couple of buses for each of those. But for those of you who move at a little bit slower pace, they always have bus six, which is for those people who want to move or walk at a slower pace. So there's always that option. Anyway, so this is in Belgrade. There's literally only one during the cruise. So during the cruise, this is the only Masterpiece Collection cruise they have. The remaining three are all in Bucharest. So in the morning, as I mentioned, on the morning of day 8, the ship actually docks in a little Romanian city called Giurgiu. And then from there, you are transferred to the hotel. They actually do sightseeing on the way to the hotel because you're going to get off the ship at 8 a.m. ish, 9 a.m. ish. They need to turn the ship. So after breakfast, everybody's going to get off, get on the bus. And then since check-in at the hotel isn't going to be till 2 or 3 in the afternoon, they actually do an excursion in the morning. That was on the day-to-day calendar if you didn't see it. Okay, so the price, so you sign up for these on the ship as well, even though this is after we get off the ship, and there's two prices. The pre-purchase price, as I said, everyone got an email on this already. But if you want to purchase these in advance, you actually call Uniworld. They have an 800 number that you call, and they're going to ask for your booking number. That's the 7-digit number. I think all of everybody starts with a 4. They're going to ask for that number and your last name, and then you actually pay for them in credit card at least 6 days prior to boarding the ship. Um, the important thing to note is if you pre-purchase the excursions, they are not refundable when you're on the ship because they are basically, think of them as separate entities. So if you purchase them in advance, you're purchasing from Uniworld headquarters out in California, and then those funds are transferred to the ship. Once you're on the ship, they have no way of refunding that money back to you. So this is another one. This is day 2 in Bucharest, which is day 9 of the trip. There are 2 optional excursions, one in the morning, one in the evening. You can do them both. I should kind of go back and say on the excursions, you can sign up for as many as you want or as few as you want. So let's say one day there's both an AM and a PM excursion. You can do them both. You can do one or the other. You can do neither. So, they're obviously complementary. You can do what you ever want. But the full day we have in Bucharest, there is a morning and an evening Masterpiece Collection excursion. Once again, you can read through this as well. This is once again this is a morning excursion. And then one other thing about the price. So when you look at the price, you see the pre-purchase price is in US dollars. Everything on board the ship is in euros. And hopefully everybody remembers for your MOAA membership, everybody receives a 100 per person euro onboard credit. If you pre-purchase the excursion, you cannot use your 100 euro onboard credit. It's an onboard credit, so only can be used on the ship. So if you purchase them in advance, let's say I want to go to this tour of this dictator's home, I can call in and pay $70 on my credit card now, or on the ship, I can book it, and this 60 euro will go on my account. And so this is a $60 charge, but I have a 100 euro onboard credit. So I now have 40 more onboard euros to spend, kind of thing. And later on, I have a slide that shows you everything you can spend your onboard credit on. So a lot of people want to wait till they get on board so they can use that onboard credit towards this. It's a fairly all-inclusive cruise. So when we get to the slide, you'll see there's not a lot of things to spend this onboard credit for. So I would say the majority of the people will pick one of these masterpiece excursions and use their onboard credit to go on that. And oops, and then this is the last of the masterpiece collections. This is in the afternoon of the day 9, which is our full day in Bucharest. As you can see, the activity level on this one is easy, not as much walking as the others. Anyway, once again, I think I kind of gone through these. Don't need to make the choice now. If you want, everyone's going to get a copy of this webinar in the group. I'm going to send it to everybody in the webinar so you can kind of read through it here again. You've already received this information from Uniworld. It's on their website or whatever. If you want to pre-purchase them, that's obviously an opportunity. Most people are going to wait till they book on board. Okay, weather. We're going to get into what to pack in just a second, but always kind of look at the weather. We're a month out. So, take this with a grain of salt, but it kind of gives you the idea. Obviously, we're sailing from Budapest to Bucharest. So, in just a second, I'm going to show you what the weather in Bucharest is going to be like. I didn't do it for every small town along the river. I don't know if they do this kind of, I'm sure they do something for most of the towns we're going to go to. But anyway, it's going to be high 70s, low 80s during the day. It's going to be high 50s, low 60s in the evening. If you look at the dates from the 12th to the 21st, Bucharest, it almost looks the same. Didn't have a different headline. Not sure you could tell the difference. Right now, no storms, a lot of sunshine. So it's going to be warm during the day. Okay, so this is actually from the information that you receive from Uniworld, which is when they talk about what you should wear. They have a whole section in that kind of, they call it the cruise companion. It's more of a need to know before you go kind of thing. And they go through all of this. Um, Pretty straightforward. Really at the end of the day, MOAA has the entire ship. When MOAA actually does these ship takeovers, they kind of lean more to the casual side, basically with the kind of, it is your vacation. Um, Wear whatever you'd like to wear. If you read what Uniworld says, they're saying no jeans or t-shirts in the dining room. Look, you're going to be with 140, something like that of your fellow MOA members. During the day, whatever's comfortable, you're off the ship, probably, lightweight. It's going to be warm. In the evening, whatever you'd like to wear. So, if you're going to wear jean shorts and a tank top to dinner, be prepared. You all served. You know how kind your fellow military officers can be. So if you're fine with everyone giving you a hard time, feel free. They mentioned that, they do have the captain's welcome reception on the second night. If that's a night you want to dress up, you can. But no, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody in all the Uniworlds I've done wearing a tie, just a sports coat, collared shirt. As I said, it's your vacation, really, whatever you want to wear. But I just wanted to address this because if you read the kind of the section on attire on the ship, I wanted to recognize that Uniworld does have these guidelines that they share with everybody for their cruises. Okay, kind of what to pack. I think kind of what I said before. Always think even though we didn't look like there's a lot of storms, it always makes sense to bring some kind of lightweight waterproof jacket in case it's raining one day. The buses that you're going to be on for the excursions, if the excursion has a bus, is going to be that dedicated bus for that entire excursion. So if you bring a jacket or you got like a little backpack or something like that, and you bring a jacket, you can leave it on the bus. You can leave purses, you can bring whatever you bring on the bus when you get off the bus, and there's someone always with that bus so it can be rest assured. So if there's chance of rain, always makes sense just to bring something. We all know that if everybody brings an umbrella or everybody brings a coat, it will not rain. Lightweight clothing, walking shoes, keep in mind. Some of these there's literally an excursion that's hiking. If you're going to bike where, they're not going to allow you to bike if you do not have closed-toed shoes for safety reasons, so you can't bike in a flip-flop. I think a lot of this is pretty straightforward on attire. Once again, MOAA has the entire ship. So, as MOAA members, you're free to do whatever you'd like. These are just some kind of guidelines. Baggage limitations. It doesn't apply as much unless you're taking advantage of Uniworld's complimentary transfers. So when they pick you up in a van, or depending on how many people bus, depending on how many people are in your transfer, it's pretty much designed so everybody can't bring two or three bags and carry-ons and everything. There won't be space for the bags on the bus. So they ask people for one bag per person and one carry-on. Um, you know, is try to stick to that as much as possible. Um, you don't want to be in a situation where they run out of luggage storage, underneath the bus or in the back of the van, and then you're going to have to like carry it on your lap or something like that. Once again, that's predominantly for the people that are taking advantage of the complimentary transfers. If you're transferring yourself to the ship and transferring yourself from the hotel back to the airport, then really, you know, there's if you don't mind having all that luggage in your room, go for it. Always want to point out so people can pack lighter, there is a self-service washing machine on board the ship. They actually provide soap, so you would just go to the reception desk, ask them for soap for the laundry machine. They'll give you a box. They don't even charge for it. You wash your clothes, you dry your clothes. I mentioned there's a dryer, excuse me, an iron. You're on this trip for 9 days, so maybe pack half as much and in the middle of the cruise do your laundry. They do have, like most hotels have, where you can do one shirt for $6 and a pair of pants for 8 or whatever, laundry service where you put it in the bag, they take it, and they bring it back the next day. This service is free for people that are in the suites. Your butler actually takes care of this for you. So if you're in a suite, there is not a fee for the kind of dry cleaning services or whatever. I mean, the laundry services. Um, but that's an option for somebody who wants to pack less and is like, oh, I'm going to have this one outfit or whatever dry cleaned. Um, I'm sorry, laundered. Golden Party. I'm wearing my golden shirt that I am going to wear at the Golden Party. It's a lot of fun if everybody participates. We've had great participation in the past. 2 years ago, Uniworld was doing a 70s disco party. Last year, it was a dressed in black and white party. This year, for those who haven't heard, and they bring it up all the time, probably in every email you receive from them, this is their golden anniversary. Uniworld's 50 years old, so they are having a golden party. One evening, there will be a special kind of menu that evening, and then everyone is invited after dinner to go up to the lounge, wear gold if you want to participate, and please participate. And then they have kind of a fun party. That is not set yet. If you look back at that day-to-day itinerary that we had up earlier, when you get yours with your documents, that's actually scheduled on board. So the captain of the ship will say, we're going to do it. If you look at the itinerary, I could kind of guess what potential nights it might be. Look for a day where there's not afternoon excursions, so the ship might leave a little earlier. They don't want people, getting back from an excursion at 5 p.m., having to get ready, go to the cocktail reception, then go to dinner. But you never know. The captain decides. Okay. I know there's a number of questions coming in, and I'm going to get to all the questions once I get through the end of the presentation. So I'm not ignoring you, but it's impossible for me to do both at the same time. Okay, so everyone has a 100 euro per person onboard credit. So if all the excursions are included and all the drinks are included and all the food is included, how do I spend my 100 euro per person on board credit? Okay, so we already talked about the Masterpiece Collection shore excursions. Those are an option. Most of them are about in that $100 range. I know a couple were like 110. The other two were like 70 and 80 or 90, if I remember correctly. So pretty much you can go on one Masterpiece Collection for almost free. They do have the spa on board that does massages. That is an option that you can spend it on. They have a gift shop. Actually, the two times I've gone on Uniworld for vacation, so I've received the €100 per person onboard credit. I've ended up letting my daughter pick something out at the gift shop. Actually, if you look here, you see a picture of the kind of gift shop. They don't actually have a gift shop you go into. They just have glass displays where the items are shown, so you can see kind of the items in the background. And then if you see something you want or you want to know a price or whatever it is, you just go down to the reception desk and say, hey, I'd like to know a price, or you can't always see the tags, or I'd like to get something or whatever, and they'll come up with you, unlock the case, and help you purchase that. So they have them on display. So while you're wandering around the ship, you have the option to see it. One of the great things I think, from my experience, most everything you see on display is less than €100. So it's not going to be like you're going to go, oh, this necklace looks nice, and then they tell you it's, €1,200 or something like that. So it is kind of designed in mind and kind of that price range or type of thing. Um, they do have what they call their connoisseur collection of alcohols. So this would be like your Johnny Walker Blue. So included is the Johnny Walker Red and the Johnny Walker Black. You literally have to ask for the connoisseur menu. Don Julio 1942, those types of things that they do have. You will note that even the concierge collection is at a discount for what you'd pay in a normal bar, because they understand that they're really just paying the upgrade price. And then they have bottled wine. They have wine selection at dinner. People ask about this. If they have a red and white at dinner and you, for whatever reason, try the red or the white and you're not happy with it, there's a sommelier over there who can bring you other options. Common thing is, you'll have wine on, day two, and on day three, you prefer the red from the night before. You just ask the sommelier, can I have some of the red from the night before? So it's not like you only have one choice. Kind of in the wines, they do have sommeliers there to help you out. But if there's a special occasion and you want to purchase a bottle of wine on board or a bottle of champagne, whatever that may be, they do have a wine list that you can purchase from. An important note is they have no corkage fee. So if you are off, let's say you get into Budapest early, while you're out shopping, you buy a bottle of wine in Budapest. If you bring that on board, you can give that to your sommelier and he'll serve that to you at dinner. Or you're more, of course, welcome to drink it in your room. But you can bring bottles of wine on board as well, and no corkage fee. So there's no expense for that whatsoever. And then the last one we kind of talked about a little bit, which is the laundry services. That is not the self-service laundry. That's where you would say, I want them to launder it, fold, dry it, fold it, and put it back in my stateroom. You fill out the form, you put it in a bag, you come back probably in the afternoon of the next day, and it's sitting there on your bed or somewhere in your room. So that's kind of where you have that you can spend the onboard credit, which is why, as I said, most people end up using the onboard credit to select one of those masterpiece collections. But if you like to get a massage, I had one on board a couple of years ago. I thought it was an excellent massage. So I can't speak to how much they cost though. I was actually escorting a group over my birthday, and I got a note in my cabin that they gave me a complimentary massage, and it would have been rude not to use it. Correct. So I did get that done. Very happy with it. Anyway, so that's how you can spend your onboard credit. We're kind of getting to the end. I see we got more questions coming in. They do have a currency exchange at the front desk. For the most part, it is one way only. If you give them US dollars, they will give you euros. They are looking for larger denomination bills. If people ask how many euros should I bring, the gratuities for everyone on the ship is included. So you don't have any gratuities to do on the ship. I always get asked this. Somebody's like, oh, we went to the same waiter every evening, or I thought my butler did a great job, or my cabin steward did, or whatever that is. If you want to give something in addition, obviously you can. The easiest way is to just hand them the money. They have envelopes at the front desk if you prefer to put it in an envelope and hand it to the waiter at dinner, or you can just leave it in the cabin. Make sure you write on the envelope that it's to the cabin steward or whatever. When you're off the ship, they do have recommended gratuities for the tour guides. They'll use local guides a lot of times. And then the bus drivers, we don't really have any excursions on this. They're out of the norm. So they're either kind of, AM, PM, so they're all about the same length. So that is up to you. Tipping is always optional. But if you wanted some euros to do that, then it's easiest just to give them, a 20 at the front desk and they can change that into euros for you. It's a fairly decent exchange rate. They're certainly not making money on it, but always kind of your best bet on exchange rate. If you're not, if you're shopping is to pay with your credit card or go to an ATM to withdraw cash. If you go to an ATM, you're going to get euros when you pull the money out of it. There is a fitness center on board. I'm going to go to a ship's map real quick and kind of make sure everybody kind of knows where there are. It is a very small ship. I think you could walk it in a matter of minutes, so everything's easy to find. And then water, they do not have bottled water on board. The millions of bottles, plastic bottles that cruise lines used to go through monthly, has been eliminated because all cruise lines have gone to this. There will be one of those aluminum water bottles in your room, and it is yours to keep at the conclusion of the cruise. They do have stations around the ship where you can fill that up with either cold water or normal water. You can take it to the dining room and they'll do it for you, up to the lounge, same kind of thing. That's what they recommend that you take with you on the bus. And so they have those for you to take on and off the ship. At the end of the cruise, if it fits in your bag, you're free to take it home with you. Okay, so here's the ship deck plan. We're going to start at the Rhine deck, which is deck 4. In the aft of the ship, there is a bar. This is kind of like the alternative bar. It's much smaller. Keep in mind that if you're going to this bar, you're going to miss everything that happens in Wolfgang's, which is kind of where the cruise director, for example, that's where everyone's going to be. Everyone needs to attend the safety briefing, so that's going to be at Wolfgang's. And then every evening, the cruise director is going to kind of go through the plans for the next day. So even though on night 2 she's going to go through the excursions for the rest of the week, that's more of a description of them. Then every evening she'll sit there and say, you know, you know, if you're on this excursion, it's going to be this bus number and this bus number, because once everybody fills out the forms, they know how many people are going on each excursion. So if everybody in our group signs up for the same excursion, then they will have all the buses doing that excursion. So they do plan that in advance. And then after she gets done speaking, I typically talk briefly every evening as well. And then the sommelier will get up and tell you about the wine at dinner, and then everyone's welcome down to dinner. Uh, More of an alternative bar in the evening. More of like if there's entertainment in the Wolfgangs, like they have a DJ or they have somebody playing live music. If you're looking for something a little bit quieter, excuse me, that would be Max's at the back of the ship. Okay, so then we go to the Danube deck. You have reception. This is the deck you'll most likely be boarding at. For those who don't recall, when you get to the ship, you walk, excuse me, when you get to the ship, they'll actually meet you ashore and check your baggage there. So you don't need luggage tags until you get to the ship, and then when you get to the ship, they get that information from you. Rooms are normally going to be not available until the afternoon, say 2-ish, 3-ish. And so they'll take your bags. You walk on board, you go to the reception desk. You go to the reception desk, they're going to ask to see your passport. They're going to ask for a credit card. They check you in. You do not need that cruise ticket. So that's more just for your informational purposes. I'll have a copy of everybody's cruise ticket. I will have a desk in the reception area. There'll be a reception desk on one side, and the other side there'll be two desks. One will be the cruise director, the other one will be me. I'll be there breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or before dinner every day. I'm there for one reason, to make sure you have as much fun as possible. Come by and see me if there's anything I can do for you. But anyway, you come in, you check in. If they are serving breakfast or serving lunch, you're invited to have breakfast or lunch. Once you walk on board the ship, your cruise begins. If you go up to Wolfgang's, if the bar is open, you're more than welcome to get yourself a coffee or a cocktail or whatever you'd like. And then they'll come and let you know when your room's available. So they will see you when you check in. They'll remember what you look like. And then when your room's available, they'll go up to Wolfgang's. And if they see you at Wolfgang's, they'll go up to you and say, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, your stateroom's available." And then typically someone will walk you to your stateroom, go in with you, and make sure you understand how everything in your room works. If you have a French balcony room, make sure you show them where the button is for your French balcony room to lower the top part of the window. I'll get to that in a second. I actually was on the cruise once and somebody mentioned that their window didn't open, and I'm like, no, there's a button in the room, not always exactly where you think it should be. Okay, so that is the Danube deck. I'm sorry, the Danube deck has reception concierge, and then that's where the main restaurant is. Actually, that's where the restaurant is. And then if you look down at the Moselle deck, deck two, that's where the spa is. You have to have an appointment if you want to do that. Sign up. They really only can do one person at a time. So, first come, first serve kind of thing. But they will be doing those every day, kind of there. That's where the fitness center is, and that's where the self-service laundry is as well. So that's kind of the ship. Easy enough to get around. Okay, the picture of me is actually from a Uniworld ship. That is a French balcony if you haven't seen them before. So literally there's a floor to ceiling window that in the middle, you can kind of tell that there's two windows. The top half of the window comes down, and then you can literally lean out and lean over, as I'm kind of demonstrating in this picture. So that's how that works. So there is a button that lowers and raises and lowers that. So when they make you walk you to your cabin, make sure you find that button in case you ever want to open that window. I've said it before. Please put my cell number in your phone now. Um, if something happens, you get to the airport, the most common call I get is I'm at the airport and I can't find the transfer. As I mentioned, I have a desk right next to the cruise director. If you call or text me, I will go over to the cruise director, and she has direct contact with that driver for that bus. And they will so we will get, the driver will find you if you text me. You don't want to get into Budapest and be trying to dig through your luggage and say, where's that email, or where did I write down John's number? Please go ahead, put me in your phone now. You can delete me as soon as the cruise is over if you'd like. But trust me, if you don't have my phone number in your phone, you will absolutely need it. Okay, so that's pretty much everything. I think everybody knows our number. So I'm just going to kind of go through these questions. If anybody came in late, there should be, if you take your cursor to the bottom of the screen, you should see some little icons. You are looking for the kind of square with a question mark that says Q&A. Just type your questions in there. If you do not see that icon that says Q&A, there's a round circle with three dots in it that says More. If you click on that, you'll see all of the icons, and then you can find the Q&A. I saw a couple people raise their hands. I wanted to kind of get through the whole presentation and then go through questions. So if you raise your hand, if you could just type your question in the Q&A, we'll get to that. I'm going to kind of go through these questions, and then I'm going to get to the 5-night pre and the 5-night post. But first, I wanted to go through and get all the questions on the cruise answered. So if there's questions about Prague and Vienna or Transylvania, I will come back to those. Okay. Um, Live. Okay, so somebody asked where they make the choice. You make the choice on board for the excursions you want that are the complimentary excursions. If you want a masterpiece collection, you can purchase them in advance by calling Uniworld at their 800 number. You'll need to know your booking number, or you can book them on board. If you book them in advance, once again, if you book them in advance, you pay US dollars, and when you get on the ship, they're non-refundable. If you book them on the ship, I think it's the 24 hours prior to the excursion. If you change your mind, you can cancel them and get a refund. Uh, Don, when you say the pre-trip, I kind of covered the 2 night pre Budapest, but the Prague and Vienna I will cover as soon as we get through with the questions on the river cruise. Uh, Somebody said they didn't receive the email from Uniworld. If you could do me a favor, just send me an email at john@moavac.com. I can forward you the email I received. Uniworld has all of your information from when you pre-registered. And we sent everybody the mailing addresses and the email addresses. It might have gone into your spam folder, but honestly, the easiest thing to do is drop me an email and say, "Can I get that you're about to board the cruise email?" And I'll just forward you the one I received. Okay, another did not receive the email. Once again, Don, just send me an email and ask, and I can send it to you. Okay, gotta go through these. Another, we did not receive the email. Okay. Seems like a lot of people had that. Uh, it has links within it, so I can't just drop it in and send it to everybody. So we'll just kind of go through and if you haven't gotten it, send me an email and I'll send it to you. The pre-cruise, will documents arrive in time? Uniworld says they're sending them out 21 days in advance. So the 5 night Prague in Vienna starts on June 7th. So you're probably flying on June 6th. So yes, you should absolutely receive them in time. Okay, another person who did not receive from Uniworld, probably they're going into your spam filters. Uniworld has everybody's email addresses. I think everybody pre-registered, so you would have confirmed the information that they had was correct. So yeah, just send me an email. I'll forward you the one I received. No masterpiece. Oh, communications received it all. Okay. Um, I'm surprised that there's this many folks that did not get the emails from Uniworld. Um, uh, I if you're looking for the information on the masterpiece, send me an email and I'll send you what I can get from them. Okay, boy, a lot of not getting the emails. Okay, might be the only questions. Interesting. Okay, so I'm just going through. A lot of people have said they have received nothing from Uniworld. Um, so if you haven't gotten it, send me a note and I'll forward it to you. I do not know why that would have occurred. I will talk to Uniworld and see why those hadn't gone out. As I said, I received mine on Saturday. Did you know if we're celebrating Um, oh, Jeff, you're also selling your golden anniversary. That is fantastic. We'll all dress in gold to celebrate. Um, if you have a celebration, okay, so I should have spent more time, I guess, going through the what's in this email that apparently no one received. One of the things that they have is the cruise add-ons. Someone else asked about this, I think, on this cruise. They do have celebration packages. specifically for people who are celebrating anniversaries. You can actually renew your vows, those types of things. They have two different packages with both of which you can have with a vow renewal and a private ceremony. Um, Jeff, make sure when you get this email that you click on that cruise add-ons and see if there are any of those packages that you'd want to add on. Same type of thing. If anybody has anything else they're celebrating, they do have these celebration packages. There is a price for them depending on what's included. They actually, if you click on that link, it lists everything that is included with the purchase price of that package. The only thing that they do is they do cakes for people's birthdays. Obviously, they have everyone's birthday uh, because of when you fill out the information. So on the evening of your birthday, they will bring a cake to your table that says happy birthday for you to share with the people that you're dining with. Just to make sure nobody kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Be sure and somebody kind of remind me if your spouse is the one who's having the birthday or something like that. I also have a list of everybody's birthday. Another thing that comes up sometimes, and I'll just jump to another topic, is when you do the parade registration, they asked about any dietary or medical needs. I probably should have said this sooner. It's always good to reconfirm them. So if you have a CPAP machine and you need distilled water, or if you're lactose intolerant or whatever those things are, once again, that information when you do cruise registration goes to Uniworld in Los Angeles, and then they send it to the ship. Particularly with food allergies, let's make sure that we make sure the dining room knows that first night when we go to dinner. I'm more than happy to go with you or tell the uh, maitre d' on your behalf, but let's let them know again. We don't want something to fall through the cracks and have somebody get sick because the email did not get from LA to Paris. So there you go. So that's kind of the thing on those. I'm going to reach out to Uniworld today. Our group coordinator actually isn't in today. I tried calling him tomorrow, but I will leave a message for him to resend these emails to everybody in our group. Is the euro used in all countries? Um, I assume you're asking if it's used in all the countries we're going to. I will actually have to check on that to look at every country that we're going to see if they all take euros. Once again, um, if you're on the excursion, like doing sightseeing or whatever, if you go to like the dictator's mansion, the the expense of getting in there will be covered. Everyone takes U.S. credit cards. I do not know. I would assume that on the ship, if we were going into a country that did not take euros, that since they do exchange at reception desks, they would exchange for whatever local currency the ship is in. We arrived at the airport around 8:30. Okay, so that's a pre-tour question. We'll get back to that. Did not get the, okay. So everyone's saying they did not get these emails. So I'm going to reach out to Uniworld and see if they can get them to resend them to everybody in the group. And then I will let the group know when they go out. And then if you don't receive it, to make sure you check your spam folder because, um, as I said, I received them. So I just assumed that they wouldn't send it just to me, they'd send it to everybody in the group. Um, Do we need anything beyond our passport? Uh, if you're flying through London or any port, or excuse me, or any airport that's in Great Britain, I didn't see anybody that was, but if you are, there is an ETA form that you fill out. I think it's €5 or £5 or something like. There's not that much. But if you were flying into Paris, or excuse me, if you're flying into Budapest or flying out of Bucharest and you're not going through Great Britain, there's nothing you need. I will when I send out the email with the link to the the webinar. I will include information on the ETA. I typically do it as a separate email, just to let people know what's required. The one that everybody's been hearing about is the ATIS, ETIAS. That has been delayed numerous times. It now says that's going to go into effect fourth quarter of 2026, so that does not impact us. Oh, question's still coming in. If we fly into Budapest on the 11th and stay at the airport, we get transition from the airport and ship and top. Okay, so the request for the complimentary transfers had to be submitted 45 days prior to departure. And you have to include a flight schedule because the flight schedules are given to the company that's doing the transfer so they can track people's flights. So let's say we have four people that are on a flight that's supposed to land at 8:30 a.m. and that flight is delayed for whatever. The transfer will adjust based upon the time of arrival flights. So those complimentary transfers, and I want to point something out on the complimentary transfers is the complimentary transfers are only for the MOAA group. If you were to go on any other Uniworld cruise in 2026, Uniworld does not offer complimentary transfers anymore. They discontinued that program. So we are kind of a one-off because we blocked this group space over 2 years ago when they were still doing complimentary transfers. But even when they were doing complimentary transfers for all the cruises are only available on the date of embarkation between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. and the date of disembarkation between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. That is either the arrival time for the flight or the departure time for the flight. So if you sent in the request and you included your flight information, you should have gotten an email back from me if you included that flight information where I explained that transfers were not included and gave you the port address. I will make a note to include the port address again as well for everyone who's making their own way. The only kind of exception to that would be is if you have a flight that's departing later than 4 p.m. on the 21st, since you're filling out a transfer form on the ship and they're just taking you to the airport, let me know. And I will work with the cruise director to get you a transfer, even though you're kind of outside that window. I also had somebody else who mentioned that they were meeting friends on this cruise and like their flight was at 10 and their friend's flight, excuse me, the other way, their friend's flight was like at 10 a.m. and their flight was at 2 p.m., but they wanted to know if they could all take the same transfer to the airport together. That's the type of thing that we'd work out while we were on the ship. Okay. I must have closed one that I didn't want to. The electrical outlets on the ship are both US and European. So you'll have both. If you have a lot of things to plug in, either bring one of those plugs that allows you to plug in multiple things, or you can bring a converter so you can use both the plugs. But they do have US plugs in the cabins. Uh, Monica, I'm going to make a note to reach out to you on your transfers. I thought we got an answer on that. I apologize if you didn't get my email reply. Uh, yes, if you're doing, okay, so question on the 2 night pre in Budapest. So you sent your flight information. So they will, when you get your documents, they will have a transfer from the airport to the hotel. You're at the hotel for 2 nights in Budapest. And then, yes, they will transfer the entire group from the hotel to the ship. I do not know what time that is. They will let you know probably either on the bus to the airport or at some time when you're there at the hotel. And thank you. Okay, somebody who said they didn't get the email said they found it by doing a search. That's why I made sure when I put that up there that I told everyone that it's from Uniworld and the subject line is your trip starts soon. If you search for either one of those, you should find it if you received it. Good to know somebody found it when they searched for it. The information on the Masterpiece Excursions is on the Uniworld website. And as I said, everyone should have received an email with it. Once again, if you want to pre-book them, um, then you pay US dollars non-refundable. You can't use the onboard credit. You can book them on board as well. Most people just book them when they're on board because most people, that's what they use their shipboard credit from. Uh, I did a slide on each one of them. Just so you know, if you go to the Uniworld website, what I have in these slides is exactly what's on the website. So if you say, well, I'm interested in the Masterpiece excursion on Belgrade, and you go to Uniworld's website, this is the information that they have. So this is their description of it. They show the price, they show what the activity level is. So there's no additional information on the website. When the cruise director does her presentation on night two for all the excursions for day three forward, she'll be able to answer questions. She'll probably have more information than they have on the website. And she has a desk in the lobby, so you can go up to her at any time. You can go up to her when you board the very first day. When you check in, after you check in, I'll be at the table where I have the passenger manifest for everybody who said they agreed to be on it, and I'll have everybody's name tags. We do ask you to wear the name tags. They come with a lanyard. It helps everyone because there's a lot of people in our group, 140 people-ish, to keep track of everybody's name. But of course, we can't obviously force anybody to do it. We just ask you to. And then when you first board, actually, I probably shouldn't say that. I was going to say you could talk to the cruise director when you first board about the Masterpiece excursions, but she is going to be swamped with getting everyone on board when, late flights, delayed bags, all that other kind of stuff that her and I are going to be working on. But either, that first evening after she gets done with her talk or the next day, you can just go to her desk and ask her for more information about them. But as I said, this is the description from the website. The email that had information on the Masterpiece collections had this information. I will go ahead and include these images from the PowerPoint um, in the email that I send to make it easier. So if you missed the email that had the Masterpiece excursions in them, or if you it's easier than going to the website, you can just view them here. I'll include the 800 number as well if somebody wants to call and book them in advance. So you have that information to call and book in advance. The only thing that's not on the website is the pictures. I pulled the pictures off the internet just because I thought it was a lot of text without pictures. So the pictures this is of, the dictator's private home. This is obviously a fisheye photo of the indoor pool. But it basically saying the text and the pricing and everything is directly from the Uniworld website. So I will include that in email. So when we're done here, I need to download the email from Zoom. I need to upload it to YouTube. I need to put all this information we're talking about in the email. But this evening, everyone should get an email with all this information in it. So we will try to get Uniworld to resend that kind of know before you go email. And for the Masterpiece collection, I'll include the information on that in the actual email itself. Did not receive the email, not in spam folder. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to get Uniworld to resend that email, or if you send me an email, I'll send it to you personally. Uh, ITIS does not apply because it's not fourth quarter of 2026. I have an email I was going to send out separately on the ETA. I don't know what EES is. Maybe it's the same thing. I'll look that up, but I'll include that in the email as well. There are even more of us. Oh, I'm guessing saying they didn't get the email. My email address, I'll go to the last screen again. Can't see. Oop, that's the first screen, went the wrong way. Uh, okay, sorry. That screen has my email address. Cell phone plans. So I have Verizon. Verizon has an international plan, which is $10 per 24 hours. So it's kind of a $10 a day thing. But when you log in and access their internet, it starts a 24-hour period. So if I log in at noon, on July 13th, I will have the phones, I'll have the international calling plan, unlimited texting, and I think it's a gigabyte of data for the next 24 hours. So I'll have it to noon the next day. I don't know anything about Xfinity Mobile. You would need to call your carrier and ask them about an international plan. But there's free Wi-Fi on the ship. So when you're on board the ship, the buses should have Wi-Fi as well. But if you're looking to make phone calls, then contact your carrier, unless you have, whatever they call it, a web phone or a web phone app, where you can log into the internet and use telephone. Just need passports. I'm going to send something for anyone who possibly is going through Great Britain. If you're not going through Great Britain, I'll make sure I repeat it in the email. Great Britain has something. If you change planes in Heathrow or Gatwick, I can't imagine another airport that people would fly through. But if you change in the airport, they want you to have this. You can get it at the airport. It's easier to get it in advance. Actually, sorry, I said that wrong. They're I'm going to back up. Sorry. I was confusing the two. Okay. So the first time you go to Great Britain, they have this new enhanced security kind of thing. There's nothing you do in advance. But when you get there, they are actually going to take your passport and they're going to fingerprint you. So they tell people to expect longer lines when you're going through Great Britain for the first time. And then every time you go in after that, they've already got you in the system. So it's kind of an enhanced security kind of thing. Um, so I will send that to everybody. Nothing to do in advance. When you get to the airport, it's just kind of a heads up when you get to the airport. They may request that you do this. I've heard people online saying that they've flown through and they were not required to do it. According to Great Britain, everyone's going to be required to do it the first time they fly through. So you don't know if you can always believe what you hear online. But when you get there to the airport for the first time, they're going to have this new enhanced security system they have everybody go through. So they'll just say if you don't have it, you go in this line instead of that line, you go through, they fingerprint you, they kind of do some whatever security kind of thing, but I'll send information on that. But once again, only for the people that are transferring either through Great Britain on their way to or from Bucharest. Uh, Deb said the Uniworld email looked like an advertisement. I almost deleted it before. Yeah. So some people got it. I can't imagine that they would have sent it to just some people without everyone. But once again, there was two. One was on Masterpiece Collections. I'll include that in my email. The other one, if you drop me an email, I'll just send you the email I got with the attachments. There's really not a lot in the attachments other than those celebration packages that we didn't kind of discover today. Okay, Carol. So if you're celebrating your 60th anniversary, by the way, congratulations. The email, if you haven't received it yet, they have an email where they have packages if you want to purchase some type of special celebration on board. Okay. Somebody said our 50th is June 13th, so a month after. Congratulations. Um, Obviously, if you want to celebrate it, once again, they have those celebration packages. Um, you know, you know what? Why don't we do this? We got a lot of people that are celebrating anniversaries. Um, why don't we just recognize all of them on board? One evening, we'll just, since they're all kind of here and there, we'll just say everybody who's celebrating an anniversary on board. We'll recognize everybody at one of the cocktail parties. We'll just pick an evening. Maybe the gold party would be a good night to do it. I'll have to talk when I get on board and see what we can do. But that would be fun. We seem to have if I'm counting correctly, 350th and 160th. So congratulations to everybody who's celebrating a milestone anniversary this year. Um, Absolutely. I'm sure the entire group wants to recognize you. We'll do something on board one of the evenings. The pre-registration request would have come from Uniworld as well. Larry, drop me an email and tell me you haven't pre-registered yet. I will send you the link directly there. It's on Uniworld's website. It's already booked. And then there's a tab. I think it says something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's like pre-registration. Just click on that. But easier not, just send me an email once again to John at MOAA. Say you need to register, and I can just send you and click on this link. When you do the pre-registration, they're going to ask for your passport information. They're going to ask for your emergency contact, and they're going to ask if you have any dietary or medical needs, is basically what that pre-registration is asking for. Uh, Is there any problem bringing a walker on the cruise? If it's collapsible, it shouldn't be a problem. It's difficult for me to say, not knowing how big the walker is. Obviously, it's going to need to fit like kind of through the doors and those types of things. But people bring walkers or canes all the time. Just, you know, I assume they're all collapsible, but I don't know. But it's obviously going to be something that you bring on the plane. So yeah, I don't imagine it's going to be an issue. When you filled out the pre-registration form and they asked about medical needs, I think if you mention that you're having a walker, they ask for specifics about it to make sure it meets their size constraints. I guess send your agent an email and he can check with Uniworld if you can kind of let us know what it is. But I've done a lot of these people bring walkers before. I just don't want to say you can absolutely bring your walker without knowing the details because I can't say every single walker is going to apply. Okay, Michael, drop me any. Okay, excursion choices. I'm gonna include the excursion choices in the email I send out tonight. Power converters. No, the plugs in your room are either standard European. I think that's C. But they have US plugs. Probably the easiest thing to do is like bring an extension cord or one of those plug-ins that allow you to plug multiple things in. I think there's a couple US plugs in every stateroom. Um, so you do not. The hotel in Bucharest. Bruce, can you send an email to your agent? I don't know. When you say which hotel we're staying in Bucharest, I don't know if you're asking on, I guess that would be the 2 night pre. Uh, I I know the agents know. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. I have to go to another page. Hotel in Bucharest. In Budapest. Wait, Budapest or Bucharest? Bucharest. I'll just include that in the email as well. Some people are just curious, have not received the email. Okay, yeah. Okay, everybody. So on the email, send me an email, John at Moavac, if you did not get the one, which kind of know before you go, and I'll send it to you. And I'm going to ask Uniworld to resend it to everybody. As far as one-on excursions, I'm going to include the Masterpiece excursions in the email. Okay, another question on the converters for everything. There's two plugs in your stateroom. If you need a converter, if you have multiple things to do, easiest thing to bring is an extension cord, or I guess bring a converter. Um, okay, Dale says he received, yeah, okay, he did receive the email on Saturday. Okay. You cannot use your onboard credit to purchase travel currency. The onboard credit is for onboard purchases. I can go back to that slide where what it can be used for. Where was it? Sorry. Okay. So the onboard credit can be used for Masterpiece Collection, spa, gift shop, premium wines and spirits, and then laundry, which is why I said most people use it for the Masterpiece Collection. The 2 times I've gone on vacation on a Uniworld, I've allowed my daughter to use the $200 onboard credit to buy her stuff at the gift shop. But no, you cannot do it. What and what type USB does Uniworld use? Uh, Okay, Sherry, you're going to confuse me with this because I don't know the different types of USB, but I'm going to say that it's an older ship, so whatever the larger one is. So if you have a new like Apple phone, which is the only thing I know of, which has the new smaller plugs. I think the old ones are USB-A and the new ones are USB-C or the other inverse. I don't actually know, but it'd be the other. But I don't think they have USB plugs. I think they have outlets, so you would need to plug, the little plug into it and then plug your devices into the plug. That makes sense. So I don't think it's like, airplanes now have where you can plug it in on the flight. I think they just have outlets in the staterooms. I've never been on the Beatrice before, but on the other Uniworld ships I've been on, they've just had plug-in. So you bring your own plug that you plug your USB cord into. Somebody who said they received the email, we do not need any visas. Visas are not required. If you go through Great Britain, there's an added step the first time you go through it, where they say they're going to fingerprint everybody and do their kind of new expanded kind of thing, but there's nothing you do in advance. Okay, yeah, if just and I have no idea how the water levels are. I'm going to say I've heard nothing about the water levels. Typically, we would have heard something if there's a problem with the levels because that's when the ships start making accommodations for it. I actually leave on Thursday. I'm escorting a group on Paris and Normandy. And no one even asked a question about that. So typically, if there's an issue, you hear something. If there's an issue, on the Danube. I will let everybody know, but as of yet, I haven't heard it. We have people going on river cruises every single week, so we would have heard from somebody if there was. Okay, I must have said something wrong. We were told departing between 6 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. Our flight is 7 a.m. Is that a problem? You said 8 a.m. I'm not sure what I said, Robert. I must have misspoke. The the transfers the complimentary transfers for flights departing between 6 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. So if your flight is at 8 a.m. or your flight's at 7 a.m., your transfer will probably be about 4:30 a.m. They typically do 2.5, 3 hours prior to the flight time. So they go by flight departure time, but the transfers are not between that 6 a.m. and 3:30, if that makes sense. So same thing with arrival flights. It's if your flight arrives between 6 a.m. and 3:30 p.m., or if your flight departs between 6 a.m. and 3:30 p.m., they schedule your transfers based upon those departure times. So if your flight departs at 7 a.m., the transfer will be earlier than 6 a.m. Hope that makes sense. Yes, the masterpiece is per person. I go back up to that. On each one of them, it doesn't say that. Sorry, I thought it did. I was going to say it says it. Yes, the masterpiece is per person. And once again, two people in the stateroom do not have to do the same thing. I guess I shouldn't say, I assumed everybody would have assumed that. We do have people where two singles are traveling together in a stateroom to avoid the single supplement, or even if you and your partner, you want to do something and they want to do something else. So everything is per person. And when you fill out those booking sheets, if you guys want to do different excursions, fill out separate booking sheets. Yes. So somebody asked a question about the transfers. The transfers are independent. So you can have both an arrival and a disembarkation transfer. You can have one or the other. The question was, I'm coming in early, so I'm making my own way to the ship. Will I have a disembarkation transfer? And the answer to that is yes. And once again, the disembarkation transfers are going to be reconfirmed on board the ship. So if someone didn't get their transfer request in back, I think the deadline was May 27th if I'm remembering correctly, we should still be able to travel to schedule your disembarkation transfer while we're aboard the ship. Okay. Harvey's asking about the passenger manifest. I sent an email out to everyone that included the passenger manifest. It is so difficult to make changes once it's printed and gave everybody the opportunity to make changes to it. If everyone gets back to me and says, yes, it's good, or you don't need to reply if it's good. If everybody gets back to me, people are adding addresses, adding email addresses. People who did not reply, once again, if you do not give us permission to include you on the passenger manifest, you will not be included on the passenger manifest. Harvey, when you board the ship after you check in at the front desk, when you come by and get your name tags, you will receive a passenger manifest when you board. So everyone will get a passenger manifest when they board, which is why if there's any changes, we need the changes now. Because if you get on board and you say, oh, I need to make this change, they've already been printed and distributed to everyone. So yes, we do it from the very beginning. What additional communication should we expect before our trip via Uniworld or MOAA? I'm going to send everybody an email today, which will have all the information we talked about, the copy of the to the webinar and everything like that. 21 days prior, you are going to get your documents. And by the way, Uniworld is not always on time. So if they tell us we're getting documents 21 days prior, it'll be in that range. As soon as we get them, we check them to make sure they're accurate. For example, we have everyone's flight schedules because we get a copy of that form as well. Uh, Uniworld has made mistakes before, but you'll get an email from me with your documents. I'll have some notes on it, which is check to make sure everything's correct. A couple other notes on it. So you'll get that as well. And that should be the last, that's 21 days prior. That should pretty much be it. I'm going to jump ahead now because I know some people are here for the pre's and posts. So Insight says that they are going to get information on the transfers for the Prague and Vienna 5 night pre 14 days prior. I did put together a list of all the flight schedules that I received. I think there were 6 couples that have never replied to any of the group emails. I sent them individual emails, or agents were made aware and tried to get a hold of you. But for the flight schedules that were submitted to me for the 5 night Prague and Vienna, those flight schedules have been sent to Insight, and they are scheduling the transfers from the airport in Prague to the hotel. And then at the conclusion of that, they are going to transfer everyone from the hotel to the ship. We are scheduling that transfer. If you're on the 5 night pre for 11, that is checkout from the hotel. So checkout from the hotel is at 11. So after everyone checks out, we'll meet everyone in the lobby. By the way, the 5 night pre and the 4 night post are, you're going to have an escort. So there will be a tour guide with you for the entire time of that tour. So they will let you know, but that bus will depart the hotel at 11 and take everyone to the ship. So you get to the ship about lunchtime, which starts at noon. Um, Hopefully everyone's there for the bus on time. I trust everybody will be. You get to the ship, you check in, you go to lunch, and then once again, they say rooms will be ready around 2 or 3. So that seemed the best time to transfer that transfer. We did have it set up initially with one airport transfer. We are going to split it and do 2. We are trying to get that scheduled because we basically have a group of people that are showing up in the morning and a group of people that are showing in the afternoon. So you will get documents from Insight. Theirs will be sent out 2 weeks in advance. If we go to the 4 night post, same kind of thing. They are going to pick everyone up at the ship. We're talking about doing around the same time-ish, 10, 11-ish, for those transfers from the ship. Everyone at the conclusion of, checkout times at 11. And so 10-ish, 11-ish, same kind of thing. When you check out of the hotel, they'll take you to the Radisson Blue. Actually, I think we head to the Radisson Blue in Broslov. So we'll schedule that transfer. And then the same type of thing, we're working with Insight. We have a lot of people that we had a transfer scheduled at, uh, I think the transfer was scheduled at 7 a.m. And they asked people not to have flights before 10:30. We had half the group that had flights at 8 a.m. or earlier. So we're looking to, and a lot of those people were looking at doing a private transfer. So we're looking, and as soon as we have that information, we'll let everybody know. But we're looking to have an earlier transfer, so like a 5 a.m. and an 8 a.m. transfer. But all those flight schedules have been sent to Insight. Insight is going through everything, and we're working with them to schedule two transfers to the airport on that date. If not, either on the front end or the back end. And this once again, just talking to the people that are doing either the 5 night pre-Prague in Vienna or the 4 night post Transylvania. If we have a number of people that are doing an extra day in Prague. So they purchase an extra day at the hotel. You can do that. We have a number of people that are purchasing a bus transfer in Prague from the airport to the hotel. If they're coming in a day early, whether or not they're doing that extra day. So all of that information is forthcoming, but the information on both the 5 night pre and 4 night post Insight tours will be sent 2 weeks prior to departure. So that's kind of the information that's forthcoming. Deb, yeah. So EES, yeah. So the EES, so it is ES. I wonder why I was thinking ETA. There's too many of these things you're talking about all at once. So EES is the thing. So if you go through Great Britain, they're going to they say they're fingerprinting everyone their first time through. As I said, I say these things as absolute because that's what you read in the travel publications, and then people post online saying I was told I was going to be fingerprinted and I showed up and I wasn't. So there's always exceptions to the rule, but people should expect if you're flying through Great Britain, the first time you go through Great Britain, I think this just came into effect last month or this year for sure. They're going to fingerprint you, so they're telling people to expect longer lines. Of course, they're staffing for it, so hopefully it's not much longer. Okay. Patrick said did it prior much quicker. Patrick, are you saying you did the EES prior to getting to the airport? I did not realize that was an option. I will check into that. I didn't know if they're requiring fingerprints, how you do that in advance, but maybe it's something similar to Google Archery. Everybody says easy to sign up in advance. What about retirements? Um, If you're talking about celebration on board for retirements, they have the celebration packages. I think I emailed that to you about the package purchases. Um, if you want to purchase a package, same kind of thing that people have anniversaries. If you have an anniversary and you want to renew your vows or those types of things, I think you could. There's two packages that are available. You saw what they are. So the renewal of vows is an add-on. So they are celebration packages. So if you wanted to purchase a celebration package on board, you could. Um, Other than that, I think most people are retired. So I think you and me, Mary Lene, are the only people that are still working. So I don't know. Yeah, I just went over the post packages. So any questions? Uh, okay, I'm gonna have to check. Sorry, Michael. Because see, you're saying ETA again, and EES is the thing you do when you go through the airport. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to check. So I'll see if I can't get that in time to send out to everybody when I send out the email of what's the difference between ETA and ETS, because I'm getting questions on both of them. Okay, Judith, as I said, another 59th anniversary. Congratulations. When we do this, once again, the that email that Uniworld sent that people are sending me an email if they didn't get it. They have packages that you can purchase if you want to do a celebration on board. There are a lot of components to it. You can go online and see that and decide whether you want to do it. They do a vow renewal where the captain kind of is there and does your vow renewal and all those other types of things. Um, so they have that. But yeah, I got a note here that we'll recognize all of the anniversaries when we're on board. I'm assuming every married couple has an anniversary this year, so we'll just recognize everyone all at once. Okay, Liz said, from my experience, it's helpful to wait to register for the excursions until after you hear the cruise director info on the excursion. Yeah, Liz and her husband Steve, I think, have been on 8, 10 signature groups. They've been on almost every one I've been on, if not some I wasn't even escorting. So, yeah, as I said, I mean, once again, you can't use your onboard credit if you purchase in advance. The information that's on the website is the information that's on my screen right now that I'm including in the email. But the cruise director will go through them of what's involved, answer questions, those types of things on board. The only ones I've ever seen sell out are the biking because they only have 20 bikes. The cruise line is selling these. It's additional revenue. So they do this. I mean, they do this highlights of Eastern Europe cruise every week. They've been doing it for probably 30, if not 50 years, this itinerary. So they kind of know how many people are going to sign up for it. And let's say everybody in our group wanted to sign up for it. They could go out and look to get additional space if needed. So, I always say, unless there's one, if you're going on this and you're like, if I don't get on this one, I will consider this cruise a failure. Then, just sign up early. As I said, they're going to hand out the sign-in sheets Tuesday night, and then if there's 40 spaces available, they go through when you turn your sheet in, and they go one, two, three, four, until it fills up the bus of how many people are going. So, yeah, great comment, Liz, from somebody who's done this a lot. Is they're designed for people to sign up on board. Uh, are safes available in the cabins on board? Huh. I've never been on the Beatrice before. So I will ask, see if I can't get an answer for that before I get the email out. If not, Larry, just email your travel agent. They know a lot more about this than I do. Those who haven't heard me say this before, I am not, nor have I ever been a travel agent. So they obviously know a lot more than I do. I literally just rely on personal experience. So I don't recall honestly. But even if I said, well, I was on, such and such trip, I'm on the Joy de Vie next week. Just because one ship has them doesn't mean all the ships have them. So that is a ask your agent, but I'll see if I can find out. I just went through the pre and post. Any additional questions, please ask them. I have heard nothing about jet fuel shortages that will impact flights. Um, I've heard flights are going up because the price of jet fuel is going up. As I said, I am flying to Paris on Thursday and flying home from Paris on the 22nd of June and have heard nothing on either one of those flights about fuel shortages, let alone anything for my flights that are in July. So I don't know how to answer that one. Sorry, it seems like I'm saying that all of a sudden, but I mean, your travel agent might know because they talk to people every day and are more involved in it. I don't even book my own flights, but I check in 48 hours in advance. So I guess tonight in 2 hours I'll be checking in for my flight. But I've heard nothing on the news about jet fuel shortages. Janet, I went through the pre and post. I believe you gave your names to management manifest, but we signed up late. I think we discussed it in the phone. We don't have a copy of the manifest. I don't have your name, so drop me an email and I can send you a copy of the manifest so you can look it over and make sure. Sorry, with anonymous, I don't really know how to answer that. Drop me an email. Sounds like I'm getting a lot of emails tonight. Okay, luggage tags. You don't actually get luggage tags. It's a ship that has 74 staterooms. I think we got 71 of them full. So with 71 staterooms, they don't send people luggage tags in advance. When you get to the airport, you get your bags. You will take your bags to the bus for the transfer to the ship. When you get to where the ship is docked, and keep in mind there's not a pier or a terminal or anything, you just get to where the ship is tied up alongside the river. Uniworld representatives will have a tent out front and they'll take your bags there and they will ask you for your stateroom number. And they will just write it on a little tag and put it on your luggage as you hand it to them. So you can hand as much or as little luggage to them as you want. It's not like checking it with a plane where you may want to keep something in your carry-on or something like that. Keep in mind, they're really just going to roll it onto the ship. You'll see them all over the lobby until cabins start getting done, and then the bags will be in your stateroom when you get to your stateroom. When your stateroom's ready, your bags will already be in your room. When you disembark, depending on what transfer you're on, if you're on a transfer, it'll be a color. And so if you're on the 10 a.m. transfer, it'll be a blue luggage tag and they'll say, hey, and the blue luggage tag just helps the people on board. Because keep in mind, after breakfast, you're asked to vacate your cabin. You put your bags out with the tags on them, with the color tags on them. The night before, they ask you to do it, but you can do it early the next morning as well. But they ask you to do it the night before. And so then when the 10 o'clock bus comes, the staff on board knows these are the blue luggage tags and they wheel them out and they ask you to watch your bag go on the bus to make sure it gets on the bus with you. So, yeah, unlike other cruises, they don't really do luggage tags per se that have your name and cabin number on them. They take your bags from you when you get to the ship and then they take your bags to the bus when you're moving on to the next. So since we have 35 people doing Transylvania, there'll be a colored tag for the Transylvania group. So when our bus comes, they'll just take those tags there to know how it's going to work in that regard when we get luggage tags. I'm sorry, I just read that one. Okay, I'm going to look up ETA and EES. I'll probably get a hold of Steve and have him go through it with me. Okay. Yeah, I know I sent out information on this to everybody that's on this Paris and Normandy cruise that's coming up. So let me get the information straight and I'll send it out to everybody. What is the age ranges registered participants on this cruise? Naomi, I'm going to be honest. I actually have not looked at that. I have everybody's date of birth. I would say the typical MOA group is going to probably be most everybody's going to be in that 60 to 70 kind of range is where the majority of people are going to fall. Some are going to be younger, some are going to be older. Literally don't track it at all. I know we don't, I shouldn't say this out loud. To my knowledge, there's no kids on this one. We've done them in the past where people have brought grandkids or kids that were teenagers are on board. To my knowledge, we don't have any of that, but otherwise, I do not know. But it's probably going to be what you'd expect if you went to a MOA meeting, um, where just what average MOA members are. Okay. On the excursions, once again, the complimentary excursions you cannot reserve in advance. They are reserved when you are on the ship. Night one, you make your choice for the choices for excursions on day two. On the evening of day two, the cruise director goes through all the excursions for the remainder of the cruise. They hand you a sheet and you make your choices at that time. The only exception to that is the masterpiece excursions. There are four of them, one during the cruise, three of them when we're in Bucharest. I will include that in the email that has the link to the website. If you want to sign up for a masterpiece excursion, you can do it while you're on board the ship, and you can use your €100 per person onboard credit. If you want to book them in advance, you call Uniworld's 800 number and you charge it to your credit card. So there is no way to book excursions in advance. Okay. what is the age range? I think I clicked over to somewhere they're already there. Okay. Oh, thank you, Liz. Were we on the Beatrice for the Danube holiday markets? I might have been on the ship too. Anyway, Liz Carter was kind enough to let everybody know they're all small safes in the rooms. I would have thought so. There's a safe in here. Steve Matthews, thank you. Website says safes in the rooms. Okay, so I got three people in a row saying there's safes in the room. Okay, so obviously this ran a little bit long. I see we still have a number of people who are here. If you think of any questions, just drop us an email or asking your agent is probably the easiest thing. Or you can drop me an email or give me a call and let me know and I'm more than happy to answer them. Once again, um, it's as soon as you get to the airport, as soon as you get on the ship, everything's included for the most part. Just have fun. I'm there if anything's come up while you're on board that you want to address. Am I out of the presentation? I think I am. Anyway, uh, but the dates that are coming. Okay, so if I can get the answers to everything, well, no matter what, I'm going to send an email tonight with all the information we went through today. A lot of add-ons to it. 21 days, 3 weeks before departure, you should get your documents from Uniworld. If you are doing one of the Insight pre or post or doing both of them, those documents will be 2 weeks prior. When you get your documents, look them over, let me know if there's any issues. The documents will they're pretty straightforward. There's really just one page. It's your cruise ticket, and that will list the excursions that, excuse me, the transfers that you are scheduled for. There'll be a note that goes with that that kind of explains everything. I will write kind of a summary, look through it, make sure everybody knows everything. Anyway, it's going to be a fantastic cruise. I'm really looking forward to it. I thank everybody for joining us today. And I will see everyone aboard the super ship Beatrice in Budapest in what, 33 days. Everyone have a great day. You'll get this email later on tonight. Have a great one.